G'day there guys, Marky here, and welcome back to yet another amazing episode of r/relationship advice. With that said, I want you to sit back, relax, chuck a prawn on the Barbie, and let's get right into it. Posted by user Uncle Barnacle, titled, Am I the asshole for rejecting my colleague's request to make her lunch? So I have a habit of making my own meals to work, simply because I love cooking and health-related issues. So I just started a new job in a new company 3 months ago, and seeing me make my own lunch every day has gotten me some attention from some colleagues. With that, I was able to talk and mingle in a new environment. My colleagues tend to ask things like recipes, how long did I take to make it, and so on and so forth. Just small talk questions. Everyone was okay, except for this one girl from the same department as me, which I will name her as Sally, 27 female, a junior designer. From the first day she saw my lunch, Sally has thrown in a lot of comments like how envious she is that I could cook my own meals, etc. It was fine until after 1 week later, she started asking me questions like, "So when will you make me lunch?" I was taken aback, but I thought she was joking and just waved it off with a smile and a nod. After that, at least once a week, Sally would ask me the same question again, and sometimes she'd even say things like, "You still owe me a lunch made by you," or she'll whine about me not wanting to cook for her. I have kindly turned her down every time she brings up this issue. Last Monday, she offered to pay me $3 if I made her lunch. I told her no again, and she was visibly upset. She told me it can't be that hard to make her lunch since I'm already cooking for myself every day, am single, and I'm being unsociable and unfriendly by not making her food. Since then, she has been passive-aggressive towards me, as well as not willing to cooperate at work when I hand her new tasks. It has made me feel bad about it, and I have no idea how to go about this. Should I have just made her lunch just to keep the peace? This feels horrible, and I don't know how to deal with it. Edit. After reading all your comments, I think I'll try to talk to Sally about this, and if this doesn't get through to her, I'll have to discuss this matter with a same-ranking colleague or my supervisor. Sad face. In the comments, Tazin says, "Not the asshole. She's acting extremely entitled and is now harassing you and ignoring the work you're doing and not cooperating with you. You need to go to HR like yesterday. She's interrupting the flow of work just because you won't cook for her. $3 doesn't even cover food costs, much less your labor and time. And even then, even if she paid full price, you shouldn't have to because she is jealous. HR, yesterday. Once you do this, she will never let up about it and desire it every day." OP says, "To be honest, when she said $3 was her best offer, I was too stunned to speak. I'm not sure if HR will look into this, but I think I'll try it tomorrow. Remember to mention that she is being uncooperative at work because of this. This is a risk to profits and the flow of the work environment. They'll have no choice then." OP says, "Thanks, I'll take note on it." The phrase you want for HR is creating a hostile work environment. Yes, your coworker is hurting office productivity, but that phrase is one they're trained to take notice of. Doesn't hurt that it's also accurately describing what she's doing. Hostile work environment has a specific legal definition, and it isn't just, my coworker is an entitled, incorrigible asshole. Going in too hot could potentially backfire. I'd go through the chain of command and have a chat with my boss before jumping to HR. Not the asshole. The actual goal and entitlement from Sally. Does she think that money grows on trees for you? She can make her own lunch, like an adult. OP says, "Wow, you just reminded me that she did once try to pry about my salary on my first day. Maybe I do need to bring this up to my supervisor." Yes, I wouldn't definitely consider it. I can't believe she tried to ask about your salary on the first day. Hot take, but I don't see the problem with talking about your salary. Anyway, not the asshole. Sally is completely delusional. What's stopping her from learning to make her own lunch? She's 27, not 7. Please don't start making any food for her, as she'll keep this up for as long as the both of you are at the same workplace. This needs to go to HR, as it's impacting your work. She's flirting. That was my thought as well. She's flirting with OP, and OP isn't flirting back, so now she's resorted to making OP's life difficult. My opinion here is that OP is not the asshole, and that, yeah, it does seem to me like it's flirting. But just because it's flirting doesn't mean it's okay for her to flip the switch on OP when he says no to her and rejects her. For her then to be not cooperative, to start sabotaging work and everything, I feel like that's a bit of a dick move on her part. But I don't think that OP would be an asshole for going to HR or their bosses about this to try and stamp out the behavior before it escalates. Update. For those who said Sally is flirting with me, I am 26 female and Sally is anti-LGBTQ, so I think flirting is highly impossible. For those who asked about my job, I work in a design agency as a senior designer. Sally is my work junior. I work closely with the juniors as I oversee their work. Also, I'm actually from Southeast Asia. I used USD in my previous post because Sally legit told me $3 because USD is 4 times more than our currency. Somehow she believes it sounds nicer. So after reading some of your comments, I have given it a long thought about how I want to approach this issue. With that, I decided to not make lunch today and bring Sally out for lunch as to confront her about this whole lunch thing privately. I offered to pay for her lunch on the condition that I pick the venue, and she was quick to agree, and her attitude went back to how it was before I declined her request. Which I find weird, but yeah. I was first relieved that at least I could talk to her about things, and hoping that I can iron this out on my own. That 40 minutes of my life felt like hell. I brought up the issue of me not being comfortable with her recent attitude and her requests after we've ordered our food. The whole time I was talking to her, she either zones out or just retorts with, "Why?" or "Why not?" Here's a little snippet of how our conversation went. Me: Sally, your constant pestering about how I should make you lunch is making me uncomfortable. I'd appreciate if you stopped that. She says, "Why?" I mean, I don't cook for anyone other than myself, Sally. Why? Because, Sally, I'm your colleague, not your boyfriend or mum or family. She says, "But I don't see why you couldn't make me lunch just once. I'll pay you double this time." It felt like the conversation was going nowhere. The rest of lunch was filled with awkward silence. Sally would just sit there and stare at me without saying anything, and I'm not sure if it's just her zoning out or she's somewhat pissed at me. She didn't even apologize. Not once. The whole thing made my stomach feel weird, like something's grabbing my guts and twisting them around. The tension between us was awkward, even the whole way that we walked back to the office. Another senior designer, Mark, took notice, and he pulled me away to talk about work. Sally gave me one more look and then walked to her seat. Mind you, up until this point, I've never talked to anyone in the company about Sally and the things that she has told me. I was brought into a breakout room, and Mark went straight to the point. "Did Sally ask you for something ridiculous or weird?" It turns out some people in the office were unhappy with Sally and her little antics. She once pestered a colleague into buying her souvenirs, as this colleague does a lot of work traveling. In meetings, she would zone out when people are talking to her, and she would always shift the weight to someone else. For example, "Well, we have X, so there's nothing to worry about." Also, a few times she'd take bits of food off of guys' plates, like fries, and would giggle if anyone tried to tell her off. If the giggling doesn't work, she would retort to the same whys and why nots that I got during my talk with her. Mark suggests I should make arrangements with my supervisor to talk about it. They have all done it earlier this year, and that stopped her from doing what she did to them. Well, most of them. She still zones out in meetings or mid-conversations. I thanked Mark for his suggestion and decided that it was a necessary next step. I've told my reporting manager about the gist of things, and I'll be having a meeting with him tomorrow to give him more in-depth details. Somehow, it's assuring to see how he actually had to massage his forehead followed by a long sigh when I mentioned Sally's name. I hope things will get better after this. P.S. As I was typing this, I couldn't help but think back on Sally's behavior towards me throughout these 3 months, and at most times it's weird, and I don't know what to make of them. Maybe I'll make a separate post about it if anyone else is invested. In the comments, Eats My Fridge says, "So if it's not about her, she literally does not care. That's why she's zoning out and not taking no for an answer, because it doesn't make any sense to her that something wouldn't be for or about her. How the hell did she get this far in life?" OP replies, To be honest, I'm very baffled by the openly zoning out when people are talking to you. Kinda disrespectful. She kinda sounds narcissistic, self-centered, and all that. She might legit have a mental disorder. Normal people don't behave like that. You do you, OP. Is there any chance she's neurospicy, or is she just taking the piss? I do that sometimes. I like to have a bit of a chin wag, you know? Does it matter? She's been spoken to about this behavior several times, it seems, by supervisors and OP, and she doesn't stop. Whether she originally knew that it was rude or not, after she'd been told to stop, she doesn't. OP says, "To be honest, I wish I knew. I've only ever talked to her when there was work-related matters. Other than the topic about my lunch, she fails to hold in most casual conversations." You've handled this very professionally. It seems she struggles to understand appropriate boundaries. She likely needs professional help with this. I wonder if the supervisor can suggest this. OP says, "I'm not sure about this, but I do plan on bringing this up during the talk with my supervisor tomorrow. I do hope for a way to help Sally. As Summer pointed out, this isn't normal for anyone." Honestly, you should have gone to your supervisor first. I can't believe you tried to do this outside of the work environment. In the US, this would have been a huge no-no. Could have easily, and still can, backfire, especially since you were senior while she is your junior. OP says, "Sadly, this ain't the US, and in my work experience thus far, superiors and HR don't usually think cases like Sally are worth the time to look into. However, with how things are turning out right now, I'm glad the new company does take work relationships and work environment seriously." Update. Not sure if anyone considers this an update, but I just want to write this out. I've talked about the whole Sally thing with my friends over Discord last night while we were playing games. Apparently, some of my friends attended the same art school as Sally and was at one point sharing the same few classes. This is quite a famous art school in my country. If you tell people that you're a designer, people's first guess would be that you've studied there. From what I've gathered from my friends, in short, they've described Sally as a person with bad social skills, but is naturally gifted in design. She doesn't talk much, but whenever she decides she wants to be friends with you, she could only spout questions that are uncomfortable to most people. In one instance, Sally asked a classmate why did her parents get a divorce. With such, they've concluded that she has bad social skills, but they've never seen her reacting negatively when people don't respond to her. They were shocked when I told them that she was being uncooperative at work. Also, according to them, Sally behaves in a way that suggests her parents shield her from the world a lot. She's unaware of many things that's deemed common sense for most. She once became paranoid because she learned about scams in college and believed by picking up one phone call from a stranger, that would land her in a lifetime of debt. She's also very insecure about many things. For example, her looks, her weight, relationships, etc. At the end of the day, they didn't know much about Sally personally because back then, they thought she was nosy by always asking people very personal questions. However, Sally does have a few friends in college. With this in mind, I recall how Sally asked me weird questions such as my salary, as well as me joining the company as a senior despite her having more work experience than me, as well as trying to dump her relationship problems on me. Maybe it is her attempt to trying to be friends with me? And now that I think about it, she needs some sort of professional help more than discipline for her actions. In the comments, she definitely has some social issues and probably needs therapy, but her behavior goes beyond just not understanding social cues. She may be neurodivergent. I'm neurodivergent myself, and her parents protecting her has stunted her development greatly. But that's not an excuse for breaking boundaries continuously and only stopping when a higher-up is brought in. She must be an amazing designer to still have a job after all of the things she's done, and how she just doesn't seem to contribute to the team. She sounds like a nightmare to deal with, to be honest. OP replies, "Yes, she does do good work, and I do realize her behavior is not something that you'd see every day. I've suggested to my supervisor that if it's possible for the company to kind of talk her into getting professional help, since we do have this benefit called mental health claims. Nonetheless, I do hope for the best for Sally. Unfortunately, I have no means nor the capability to help her." And now, on to the final update. Hello everyone, this will be the final update. It took me a little while to write this post because I was busy at work. First of all, I'd like to thank you internet strangers for all the advice and similar experiences. It helped me a lot with navigating this situation as a whole. However, I am still baffled by such behaviors, especially in a work environment where I was taught that people are professional there. Anyways, on to the main topic. I had my meeting about the issue I had with Sally first thing in the morning. I told my manager that the main problem is work, about how uncooperative she was with me. It didn't take long for him to link this whole thing back to Sally making unreasonable requests for colleagues again. He didn't exactly tell me what the company would do at the time, but mentioned that the company would take appropriate measures in regards to this. Soon enough, an email was sent to Sally with all the senior designers CC'd in. In short, Sally will be put into probation as well as having a 30% pay cut as she's been assigned to a more stern and experienced senior designer. I heard she's really scary for work evaluation. Sally only gets one more chance to keep her job. One more of those requests from her after this would result in her termination. Sally started kicking and crying upon reading the email as she yelled, "It's not fair!" repeatedly. Everyone looked at Sally briefly and then went back to their own business. I saw some colleagues put on their earphones and raising the volume, some put on earplugs, and the ones sitting near her would just walk away with their laptops. No one consoled her. Everyone just pretended that she wasn't there. It felt as if I was watching a movie at this rate. Still a little worried that Sally would do something to me, I asked Mark if he could sit with me during lunch in case Sally tries anything. I'm not sure if Mark meant it as a joke or what, but he said, "No worries, she's not smart enough to link this back to you." Lunch since that day has never been so peaceful, and I'm looking forward to more peaceful lunches as long as I'm with this company. In the comments, Tazin says, "Congrats, this is on her, not you. She has burnt out everyone, including senior management, by demanding that people cater to her. She can either wise up or find another job, but no job is going to think that this is acceptable." OP replies, "I'm pretty sure she would do anything to stay. I feel like she's comfy in this company. It's been a few days, and so far Sally has been on her best behavior and a little more scared most of the time due to her newly assigned senior being super strict. I do hope she'll really change and learn from this. Either way, I'm free from this issue, and I'll be interviewing a couple of junior designers to fill up Sally's place soon, praying that I won't get another Sally." I worked with a girl once that was like this, highly intelligent and extremely good at thinking outside the box, but had a hard time thinking inside the box, especially the box labeled social skills. I forgot some papers once, and I figured I'd pick them up on Saturday evening when I was in the area. It turned out she was living in the office because it's free, no commute, and just empty space after working hours. I also had to tell her not to go home with the kind old man who just wanted to give her a free phone. How did she shower? Well, the office encouraged green commutes and the use of bicycles, so our underground parking had a corner where you could hose off your bike. This is incredibly sad. I hope she's alright and in a better situation now. Oh, she didn't do it because she couldn't afford an apartment. Rent was cheap in the area, and we were paid the same. She just didn't want to spend it on rent. Girl loved to travel, so that was her priority. Well, I suppose she has her own priorities? I still hope that she has a home of some kind now, even a room somewhere to call hers and to keep her things in. But I suppose if it was by choice, then that's a somewhat less tragic situation. Can't say I was expecting that based on how it sounded at first, though. Yeah, sorry about that. I often forget that I live in a privileged country where homelessness isn't really an issue. We didn't work together for very long. She told me she usually worked for about a year to save up, then she would quit and travel until the money ran out. Rinse, repeat. Last time I checked on her, she was working for a foreign aid organization. No idea what she's doing now since Facebook is dying. Knitted Jedi says, quote, "Sally started kicking and crying upon reading the email as she yelled, 'It's not fair!' repeatedly. These aren't the actions of a mentally healthy woman." I was just thinking about that comment, the one where her parents sheltered her, because this sounds exactly like a woman that I used to work with. Her parents and their money made everything easy. The first time she encountered conflict at work, she literally stomped her foot. Hysterical crying over minor inconveniences. I hate the word hysterical and its connotations, but it's the only word that fits. The problem was so simple to identify. She had never encountered conflict as an adult in an adult environment. She was sheltered, and that had made her spoiled. She acted like a child when her behavior inevitably caused conflict, because she'd never learned another way to resolve issues. She did the why thing too, again, like a child. Not healthy at all. And that's where I'm going to end today's episode, guys. I do hope you enjoyed. If you did, let me know what you thought of it in the comments down below, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.